I'm back. Hello, my name is Cassie, and welcome back to my channel. To all those who have subscribed, thank you for coming back, and all those new, welcome. My name is Cassie. I go by she today, and this is a channel to cross stitching and a lot of knitting. It is a crafty channel, basically. I do whatever. I do a bunch of crafts, and this is where I keep track of myself to make sure I'm on the right track. I've been busy. Different background. I have moved into my new place. This is where I'll be for the next 2 years. But I have been busy, and I've been doing a lot of stitching and a lot of starting new projects. I'm looking over here because this is really all on my desk. A lot of new projects, a lot of kitting up. Like, I'm actually felt the urge to start a whole bunch of new things and small things and get them out of my to-do list, basically. So first, I'll start with a little bit of a life update to kind of explain why this happened. Is I moved into my new place, I unpacked, and then I found a whole bunch of knitting projects that I have left in the bins or boxes that I've packed up practically 2 years ago. And this is one of them. My first crocheted scrapped hexagon flower, and then that started another knitting project, which I'll show later in the other half. I'll show my leaning later. But that started me going, okay, what do I have supply wise? And really taking catalog and taking inventory of what I have. And that kind of started me going, well, I could start these projects, and down the rabbit hole I went. First of all, let's talk about the mermaid, my classic mermaid. I didn't look at my previous video to see where I was, but I do know that I was climbing up on it, and I've now gone down on it. So I don't remember the number of where I was last time, but this is where I am currently. I know that I did not do the gold. Like, the gold is really confetti. So I really did not want to touch that. But after I reached where I finished off pretty much last video, as soon as I wrapped up last video, I basically made the decision to move the Q-snap down here. So I did pretty much all of this because I wanted to keep it level. So I am level, and I'm now starting to go into the bottom half. So I'm at 25% done, which is insane, just considering that I started this in November. So 2 months from now, I would have started a year ago. 10 months ago, I started this. And I'm at 25% done. Only 25%? No. But yeah. So I have done 48,200 stitches on it. So 25.94% done. I will probably put a picture somewhere because I've been playing around with the software of what my tablet can do. Like, it gave me options. The last video, it gave me the options to insert a picture, and I was like, ooh. So I'll continue to do that as much as I can. So that's the mermaid. Gecko Rouge Kit is from Gecko Rouge. The artist is Medusa Dollmaker. This is on 18 count easy guide. that is going to be my one regret in this project, is not purchasing a nicer background, because it's not a straight rectangle, so you're going to see white. So that is my one regret in purchasing this fabric. Hey, naive me 10 months ago. But I already had enough, already done enough, and it's a kit, so gotta keep going. But yeah, so this is part of her tail, so I'll continue on the tail. I hate going this direction because my stitches cross from top left to bottom right, and then top right to bottom left. And I try to keep my stitches tucked away, if that makes any sense. When you go in the hole, if you keep it in the X, the stitch, if you lead back up to the top, it creates a hole that is not covered by a stitch that goes continue on to another area. So when I'm going from right to left, like my stitching wise, it covers the hole. I hope you get what I'm saying. But basically, I hate going this direction. I hate it. So I've been trying to not do that. And so maybe this is why I'm punishing myself first before I get to the good stuff, which is continue on. As soon as I go this direction, I never have to go in that direction again. So go to the bottom, and then I never have to go in that direction again. But yeah, the Q snap is fine. Like this is right at the edge, so I've just been tugging it to keep it tight, but I don't need it drum tight like a lot of people do. So she's doing lovely. But I was pretty stitching on her pretty solo for a long time. And then I jumped into my knitting because I was moved into my new place, got the knitting projects all laid out in front of me, and Stephen West is this new stitch along, knitting along. Anyways, that kind of made me go into cross stitching, be like, what can I do? So that's the mermaid. What's next? I did do some stitches on the Autumn Lane Stitchery Baba Yaga that I can remember, hopefully, if I remember correctly, that I did some stitches since then. I should have. So let me go dig that out from the bin, because I pretty much touched it a little bit and then put it aside. I'll be right back. Baba Yaga Autumn Lane Stitchery, call for fabric, call for floss, so far black. DMC, because as I said previously, I don't want to do the green. That's the magic, so eventually I will change it up. I guess the reason why I put this aside for now, because it's linen, and I don't prefer the linen, but whatever. I'm charging through. That's actually pretty good. So I miscounted, as I said, somewhere over here. So this side is completely counted wrong. It's half a stitch, because it's this is 2 over 2, not 2 over 1 like everything else, but 2 over 2. BestitchMe with the, and Catacombs. So Baba Yaga Autumn Lane Stitchery, I want to say 32 count Catacombs, but so far I'm just doing the black. I was using it to escape from the mermaid for a little bit. So I'm pretty sure the last time you saw this, I've only done up to here, and then I moved across. So that's pretty good. Not bad. Yeah, and I'm trying to keep going this way so that the off will eventually become right somewhere here. And then eventually I will count into Baba Yaga to do her black. Because I don't think I want to touch any of the other colors until all the black is done. That'll eventually happen. And my bag here holds all the red. Even though I feel like I'm probably going to do Leo Roxy red, possibly because I like the variegation. I have to probably test a sample out of it, maybe? I should. Anyways. I haven't touched my Bestiary. Yeah. Sorry. I touched the brunette, which I actually found out is actually called the Byzantine brunette. The actual artwork itself is called Byzantine brunette. Yes. So that was like a happy occurrence when I found out it's actually called Byzantine brunette. Is my AC on? I'll stop. Okay. The AC is really loud. I've been pushing my landlord to get it replaced. I've turned it off for the rest of the video here. One downside and good side, I guess, is that my ears don't pick up that noise. It's like, no, you don't need to pay attention to that. Anyways, this Team Brunette, she was picked up, did some back stitching, and then I kind of put it away. And I was like, I'm done. But that was also when I moved too. So she's probably tucked in the bin here, and I haven't found the courage to bring her out again. But I've been touching everything else. What else? Project new current whips before I go into my new starts. Nothing else. Okay, so new starts. I have two for sure, but I have kitted up a few more. I was attempting to get into 100 Owls using that ship's manor Abracadabra, and I saw that, and again, I was intimidated by the paper, of course, and then I saw Around the Sun pattern by Forest Embroidery. The fabric that I had for it was not really what I was thinking of, so I swapped that out. I actually put in the fabric I've dyed, which is in a previous video. I swapped that out and put that fabric that I've dyed and put it in there, and then the fabric that was in there called Haunted, I think, is now in my bigger bin of fabric, because I've also purchased more fabric as well. I will try and see if I can do a haul later somewhere in this video to show you what I've gotten. If I probably overlap with some of the haul in the previous video, it is what it is. Okay, of course, as soon as September started, today is September 17th, if you need to know. 2 weeks ago, September, I was very feeling the Halloween fall vibes from Michaels. Michaels, of course, their display was all Halloween as soon as it... Anyways, I then looked into my folder of digital copies of patterns that I have and I've been meaning to do, and Night Spirit Studio, I did a pattern for somebody else as a gift, and I remembered that, and I was like, okay, did I purchase any more of that line? She has that witchy holiday. I did jewel for a friend, and I was thinking, do I have Samhain? Anyways, I don't. Long story short, I realized I purchased this one from Night Spirit Studio as well. And I was like, I can do this for my friend for Halloween in a month and a half away. So this is Witchcraft Wood Cuts, and I'm just taking a look at my phone at the pattern in Pattern Keeper. It's the Witchcraft Wood Cut. She's got a few now, but this was like the first one that came out, and I was doing a deal or something, and I was like, give it to me, and then she came out with more, and I was like, oh, okay, sorry. But this is what I have so far. I was very tempted to pull out Charcoal of Leo Roxy, but I was like, no, this is just straight up black, requires straight up black. And I wanted a more rustic fabric. So off to Michael's I went to find 18 count fiddler's cloth. No, not fiddler's cloth. Yeah, fiddler's cloth. I think it's the color. It is oatmeal-y, and it is stiff as heck. So it is practically standing up by itself, but it's totally fine. I no qualms about it, and that's what I have done. So like it's so I've reached the top, I've reached the bottom. No, this is a little bit more of the bottom, but this is the corner almost of this guy. Like the edge is like right here. There's another woman here, so it almost fits this cute hoop. And you know what? What's funny is that I was so tempted, and I think I did it just because. What does that look like to you? Just saying. Yes, it's lightning. Anyways. So how many stitches have I done in this? Well, it's also a picture, so it's not in Pattern Keeper as a percentage but anyways, I have done 15,680 stitches on it. So the percentage they're giving me is 19%, but that's not right because 100% is completely full, like full coverage, the whole thing. But so yeah. So that's moving along, hauling along. And this is a pin that I made. There's a needle miner that I made. And that's something I want. I want a Dremel because I have a whole bunch of pins. I collected pins. Another thing that I uncovered in my inventory of everything is I've collected pins in the intent of making them as needle minders. And they're in a bag. I've now forgotten where I put that bag. But Night Spirit Studio 18 count 2/2 and Witchcraft Wood Cut. So I picked that up for pretty much a week. And then while doing that, I was also swapping out the fabric from 100 Owls and Around the Sun. And I was trying to figure out what to do with my dyed fabric, and also realized it's actually perfect for what's this artist? The reason why I found her was on Etsy, no, Instagram, because she had snails that had balls on the back, and so I went in. No, they were having a sale. And one of them was Earl Grey Hot. It's like Captain Picard, Star Trek. And I was like, okay, awesome. But Captain Janeway always has my heart, even though I don't like coffee. But Captain Jane, coffee, black. I wanted to do a Star Trek thing. So I actually purchased their The Resistance is Futile. And so this is the Borg. Space Borg. That Sage Bungle Stitches. It's what they're called. Let me just double check. Oop. Yes. Sage Bungle Stitches. And of course, as always, I'll put everything down in the description below. Like fabric, pattern, artist, everything. So far, of course, this is again another Pattern Keeper, another graph that I had to make a picture of, basically. But so far, I have done 17,286 stitches on this. And the way that Pattern Keeper grabbed this artist, Sage, is I'm gonna call them Sage. You know what I mean now. Sage. Pattern Keeper grabbed Sage's pattern, but the entire document, it has like 4 copies or 3 copies of this. Black, white, color, and then something else. Anyways, it grabbed it and it did like 3 cubes in Pattern Keeper, and I'm like, no, let me just focus on one. So, anyways, 10% done. It's totally false. But this is on 18 count that I have dyed myself. And I now know that if I ever want to dye fabric, don't do it on 18 count because it really shrinks it. I would probably do it on 16 count now. But, like, this is just a one-off too. But it's like, please don't look any closer at the stitches because they lie horribly. They are horrible. Like, let me see if I can put something on the back of that. Let's just see. Will you focus on that? Anyways. But yeah, you can definitely see that there's square. And why did you go that way? Anyways, it's a square. Sorry, not a square, a cube. A Borg cube that says Resistance is Futile. And then it kind of goes, it has a line border around it. It's probably going to fit in this hoop. I'm fairly certain it's going to fit in this hoop because that's the side. And I think there's a border just a couple stitches off of it, so it will fit in this hoop. And if it does, I do have, let me just adjust please. I do have a frame that is this size. So it'll fit perfectly in there. Black flame, perfect. Ooh. Camera, stop. Anyways. Now I have all the green flosses that are in DMC now. Because it required so much green. Let me take a look. How many green? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So much green. All the 900s. A lot of green in there. But between Baba Yaga, between the Hunt and Baba Yaga's red and DMC and green now, I have all the DMC green and red. Christmas! But that's also been going. And then Lola, everyone's doing this. Lola the Haunted Crow or something. Doing the Haunted Library SAL. I've resisted, people. I have resisted. I have resisted hard. But this was me yesterday. I printed off or wrote down the list. I signed up because I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm doing this, but I'm not going to do it right now. And then massive FOMO. We are missing out here. but I had to print out, get all the DMCs, make sure that I have them, and the dash means that I didn't have it in my master list. So my master list is every DMC I have purchased. It might mean that it's in a project, but I have it. That's a lie. So I went to Michael's yesterday after work to get these colors, the dashes. And then I also kind of just grabbed everything that I was on this list because I was like, I'm actually not sure. And then if I had an extra one, fine. I'll just make it added to the floss drop to have 2 skeins on it. But yeah, that's all the colors for the Haunted Library. Like Haunted Librarian, how can you not? So these are the flosses that I have for it so far. And then Steel City Stitchers was talking about it, and one of them said glow in the dark floss. Great. I'm now probably going to dig into my specialty flosses because I do have it. I purchased it for Dark Queen of the Sea for her eyes and then never did it because the floss was driving me insane. But I can definitely do it for this. So that's what, like, you can definitely see that I to there, to here, like I purchased extra, whatever. There was a few that I was like, yes, I found it in my master DMC floss drop. Others I have not. I had to steal from Dark Queen of the Earth. So I'm probably, the Dark Queen of the Earth is, I'm not going to start that one for sure until probably after Christmas because I'm lazy. I want to see other people's work before I do it and then kind of capitalize on that. I can hear you shouting through the screen, but no. Yeah, I have the specialty threads for it. I did purchase the bead pack, but of course Leslie's having trouble with it, so they sent me the specialty. Let me just grab it. Little sidetrack. Nightshade, I think it's called. Yeah, Nightshade, because the oak is the brown. I grabbed Nightshade, and the specialty flosses are here. I also purchased a lot more from Under the Sea in the green colorway, just to see if I can play around with it. And of course, they shipped them separately because, anyways, I was fine with that. So eventually the bead pack will come, eventually. But back to the Haunted Library. So this is a floss for it. And then Ship's Manor, Money Me Wraps, 16 count. So this is what I'm going to do it on. I'm probably going to do it on this side. It's less splotchy. It's more spread out. Eventually I will start it. Today? Do I feel the urge to start it today? Probably not. I'll probably continue on the board. But yeah, that's 16 count. Haunted Library is going to go on that. We'll go from there. It's all stacked up on my table here. And then I also collected the fabric and the floss for Poison Garden from the Starlight Stitchery box. This is Witchy Stitcher? Witchy Stitcher. Poisonous Plants. That one. So, of course, I couldn't get all the flossies. I printed out my working copy. So I copied it, so I have something to work off of. So this is, oh my God, computer. This is, oh my god, can you stop? This is just black. This is the All Souls Knights from probably Ship's Manor, if I remember correctly. It's black, straight up black. I have lots of black ink now. Anyways, that is for that. Been cut out. This is the floss. I know that I'm missing a lot. I know I'm missing a lot, but it is starting. Like, I've already purchased so much floss in the last little bit, so I need to calm my tits down in purchasing floss. Eventually. But that is Poisonous Plants by Witchy Stitcher on Ship's Manor, All Souls Night, 18 count. So that's another project that I'm like eyeing up to do. It's like, can you detect a theme? All Halloween, all fall. But this will make you laugh. I also got the floss for Gathering Seashells by Tracy Warner. What's her company? Ink Circles. How can I? Ink Circles Arranging Seashells. So I got all the floss for it. What sold me on the floss was these 20 stitches. They started their pattern with this. And I was kind of contemplating doing it in the call for, but when Dee did it, ooh, looked good regardless. So I was like, you sold me, Dee. I'm doing it. I haven't figured out the fabric yet, but eventually. That's all. That's all I have kitted up. I have kitted up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 projects. 6. Actually, 6. So, Dark Queen of the Earth. So 6. So all the floss is here. And I've already stolen some of the floss from here to do the Haunted Library. So all the floss is here. I'm probably gonna have to steal some of the brown for the Haunted Library. But yeah. Like, I attempted to before I realized I purchased another skein. So there's one of this here and then one in there in the Haunted Library. But yeah. Yeah. So I'll figure out the back. Like, I know that I need to do the Dark Queen of the Earth and a linen or a higher count, because the face screwed me over for Dark Queen of the Sea, because I wanted this specific set of eyes, which required half stitches, which in the face was a nightmare. So I had to go off the track with my eyes. So I wanted to keep my options open. So that's why I went with this one, which was linen, 32 count, nightshade. Yeah, that's what I wanted to keep my options open. So I have a lot of 32 count coming in from Under the Sea in the green color. Let's see if I like them. But that is all my cross stitch. A lot of starts, a lot of kitting up, because I now have the space to do that, right? So it's like everywhere, explosion. Like, and also behind me, you can see my knitting project sitting on the coffee table. So, but first, haul. I haven't gotten much other than what I've shown you and all the kitting up. But let me show you. Like, yeah, I think I got a few more fabrics in the mail, because because I was wanting to dye the fabric for Haunted Library, and then I was just like, no, don't stress out. Let's do mummy wraps. Mummy wrap, 16 count, perfect. So that's what's left. I wrote down how much fabric is left on it too, so I don't have to remeasure every single time. Yeah, this is saved for, this is Abracadabra for 100 hours. I haven't cut it out yet because I'm terrified. I'll eventually cut it out. And then All Souls Night. Yeah, this is cut. I have to write out what the new dimensions are, but. And then I purchased 18 count Ada in the plan to dye the Haunted Library. And then I started stitching that Restistance is Futile. And I was like, no, I'm not dyeing 18 count. I'm probably going to dye 16 count if I can find it. Like, I have no cross stitch store here. It's either 18 count or it's 14 count. I might actually go and buy 14 count because at 14 count it will shrink to 16 count. So maybe. But I have 18 count here. This is actually two of this dimensions because I was like, I'm not having two boxes in this small box. So it's like I inserted them in here. So cheap. It is like a sheet of pure cotton. It's different, but once it's dyed, it's not that bad. But again, it shrinks. So 16 count or 14 count, I have to dye. This, otherwise, it's gonna live in here for a little bit. This is floating around, and I wish, that's one thing I was, yeah, you can't tell much of a difference between these two. I think it's the same. Because when I got half, like when I have started this, and I was like, wait, is this the blue that I did? Or is this something else? I still don't know. Because everything is in here mixed up. Did I show you this? I got a shipment from Fortnite. Like, I don't remember buying these things. Partly cloudy. This is 16 count, a quarter yard. Let me try and get this. Can we stop that nonsense of blowing out my lens? I'm not taking it out of the plastic, I'm sorry. But it is definitely a gray. I was tempted to use this for Haunted Library. And I was like, no, I want it to be classic. This is Sandy Bottom, 18 count, quarter yard. I remember showing this to you, but not really, so I'm doing it again. I'm sorry. It is definitely very lightly modeled tan. And then I do have another one of Fortnite. There it is. Shark Fin, which is blue. It's a very lightly modeled blue. 18 count again. Anyways, moving on. I did not purchase any more floss from various companies other than DMC, from Michael's, or from, there's a quilting store here that carries it, but it's damn expensive. Like, compared to Michael's is 79 cents or whatever it is in Canadian currency. Anyways, and then where else? That's it, I think. Yeah, this is the leftover of that, what I'm using right now for the witch's woodcut. It is stiff as a board. Anyways, I knew what I was getting myself into when I purchased the wool, but I was like, I want an old-timey look to it, and that answered my prayers. I was like, cheap, give it to me. And then this box, I was using it as a packing box, so I had stuff in it. And then I realized when I emptied it, it was perfect to fit under my desk. Not like, not under my desk, but to the side of my desk that has some storage. So it has to wiggle in there, but sorry if I jostle you. Anyways. And then I went to Fabricland to buy an iron because I had to iron my creases out of my dyed fabric, which was redundant anyways because it's re-wrinkling. But bought a little mini iron and a wool pad to iron things out. And then I had a make your own makeup bag class at the Peachtree. I talked about this in a previous video. Peachtree quilting shop. Their classes are amazing. Beginning to quilt class was on a night that I work, so I can't do it this fall. But in the summertime, they had make your own makeup bag. Let me go grab that. Here. So this is the fabric they gave us with the supplies that they gave us, which is the fabric that was already interfaced. It is stiff. It's nice. I probably might use this to hold something here. Wow, my light is blown out. I'm sorry. I have no curtains. Can't put curtains up on that thing. Anyways, but this makeup bag, it's glorious. I have now misplaced the instructions. I need to find the instructions or call Peachtree and say, hey, can I get the instructions again? Because this makeup bag is glorious and I could do it in a bigger size and make more bags for myself. Got awesome discounted Halloween fabric from them. To do a smaller size of this, and probably will give it away to colleagues. But that is the dream. That is the hope. I do have vinyl because I was planning to make see-through masks during the height of the pandemic when I was making masks, and I never used them. So I had vinyl that I could possibly use. My sewing machine is under my table. I just need to now have a sewing machine. Sorry, an iron. So I also bought interfacing at Fabricland. It sounds like I'm planning to do a lot of projects. We'll see if I follow through. What else? Before I go into knitting. That's pretty much all my supplies. That is all my haul, all my everything. So let's go into knitting, shall we? Which is not much, quite honestly. You've already seen the project that I'm working on because Stephen West's MKAL is what it's called. Mystery Knit Along. So Stephen West is starting his thing up. There's no yarn store here no local yarn store here in Regina. There's a new one starting up. We'll see. But I had to go to Michael's to buy fingering. But the trend right now is bulky, furry, fake furry yarn. And it's everywhere. I cannot find fingering whatsoever. So I had to dive into my stash to get something that was fingering and then hope for the best in Michael's, which I did. So let me grab that. So Twists and Turns is what it's called. Stephen West. New shawl stitch on. And I'm actually very tempted not to do it now and do another one of his that is actually very scrappy because inventory like so much scrap yarn in this massive bag that has a very grumpy owl. So much scrap that I am very tempted just to do a scrappy shawl instead of a mystery knit along, and just get rid of this. Like, as much as I think that I'm gonna get rid of him doing this project, that project, I can't use it all. Anyways, for the mystery knit along, twists and turn. This is very green blue. This is Little Red Kettlehead from the Ontario area where I did my master's. So that's one side. And then this is from Michael's. This is Patton's Roy socks. It's a very dark gray, heather gray. So that is those two together. It's not much of a contrast, but I am not a contrast person. My God, my light. This, will you help? Anyways, so that, and then this could be the pop. That'll be the pop. We'll see if I continue that. That's why they're lying on the floor here. We'll see. And this project is sitting on the coffee table is scrappy. And that's the back side. But it's like a miter square, so you have to make sure that the amount of stitches that you pick up or start with is divisible by 2 and 3, because the way I do it is I decrease by 2, which is 3. So you slip over 2, knit 1, and then slip those 2 back on. So you have 3 you have to kind of deal with. So it has to be divisible by 2 and 3. Math, people, math. Anyways, so that is my scrap so far. This is the yarn from the What the Fade shawl. So I have picked this up again. I put some new scrap stuff in here, but like eventually I have to take a needle to it and put everything, all of these loose threads in their place. But it's getting there, and I have to kind of, I made a mistake. This should be lined up to each other. Like, where's the other one? Here. Because I don't really want to be a neat freak and make sure that they all align the same way. And don't really care about it. This is the back. Like, I picked up stitches, the technique that it's supposed to be on the back, but who cares? Who cares? This is just to get rid of yarn. And I'm realizing why I put this aside, because of a lot of counting at the beginning, a lot of counting involved to make sure that I am picking up a number that is divisible by 2 and 3, which is 12, 24, 48. Those numbers. Like, this is a 48. This is a 48. It's just a different size of yarn. My colors are light. This is a 12. This is a 24. So I have my numbers. I just need to count them. So that's my knitting that I have done. I just leave them there. It's like I get up in the morning and I'm like, oh, let me just pick up a few stitches. Like a little old granny. And I have a box here, a bin here, full of my whips in progress and yarn. I did a few more rows in this. I don't know if I showed you. Yeah, like you can see it's getting all wrinkled from being in here. But yeah, that's I probably done some more knitting in that one. This is the Bride sweater by Tin Can Knits. And this is the yarn from Cogs Yarns from here in Regina. I have the details. I'll put the details down below. But it really exposed to me how much yarn I have lying around. But also exposed to me I don't have enough yarn lying around because I had to hunt down yarn for Stephen Westcall's mystery knit along. That is everything. I talked real fast, but I had a lot to cover. So thank you so much for coming. thank you so much for listening to me just rant. We'll see if I continue to do another one in October, because no, October's next month, probably November, because I definitely would want to talk about how much progress I've done on the Mermaid a year later. So we'll see. But yes, I will try to do another video by November, at least, or at least, yeah, at least. Is that the word I want to use? But I moved into my new place. I love it. I'm still getting used to not just throwing up my personality all over the place. Look at my couch. Look at it. Restore. Habitat for Humanity. Restore. Yeah, perfect size, small apartment, right? And I totally forgot it. So, remember in my first video, I said I need to thread. Put in all the threads from this shawlography. Anyways, this is Stephen West from last year. I had all the threads still had it, and I said I'll put them back in, and then I will try and fix what's going on here. I did that. That's why it's on the couch. Yeah, because if you remember, this was too tight, and what was going on, this was leaning over because this was so tight that this was leaning over and didn't really display nicely. It's still slightly too tight, but it's so much better. So I'm so happy. Look at it. Massive, massive. So big. I love it. I hate the shrimp. There's the shrimp. Little shrimpies. I hate them. Like, I've seen people now do just omit them, but I do not have the skills to omit things in a pattern yet. But it's done. It will sit on my couch to be used as a blanket. But yeah. And then this will, I have bags of this. I have some. So I gotta thread them on. So I'll probably be using this to tie them on to here, because I made this when I was 5 years ago. Like, crochet was my first hobby before I picked up knitting, before I picked up cross stitch. It was the first thing I made. I gave this to my mother for Mother's Day. She did not appreciate it, because, rightly so, because it is a weird shape. It is a, let me see if I can, you can't really see. Like, it's a very weird diamond shape. Like, yeah, there you go. So you can see that it peters off, and then it's like, it continues on down there. Is that it now? So I can stop talking. But thank you for coming again, as it's said previous. Can I wrap this up now, as I look around to see if I can miss anything? Other than that, welcome to my place. Thank you for being here with me. And have a great fall.